Wonderful Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to MLB Ministries and this life session series. This is about spiritual development. I really want to just take a moment to share with you a prophetic word that the Lord dropped in our spirit relative to living in the shift and growing in the spirit. You know, we talked about shifting being equal to seasons, that really your shift is your season, whatever season you're living in. And we sensed in our ministry and in our own life that God was shifting things, but not only just climates and shifting relationships and shifting spiritual understandings and even death, but really God is beginning to shift in areas of our destiny. So I want to share with you this, that you can endure the shift if you own the fact that God owns the season. See, God owns the season. Somewhere in your spiritual development, we might have gotten a little twisted that we really believe that we're running stuff. And God is speaking to us prophetically and speaking very powerfully and very clearly that we don't run anything, that we belong to Him. In your spiritual formation, in your time, in your prayer with God, when is the last time that you absolutely submitted everything to His will? When you just said, I'm yours, and whatever you say, that's it. You know, when I look at natural seasons, I was sharing with my sister around this word, and I shared with her because her question was, what happens when you're trying to own it and declare it and name the season you're in? Because I shared with her that unless we own it, unless we declare it, unless we name it, then it's going to be difficult for us to pray about the season we're in. If you don't know where you are, then you don't know what prayer needs to be applied to that situation. And she said, well, what if there are a number of things that are occurring that you just can't name one? Then I said, yeah, then that's an active season. And so then we pray for that activity. We pray for that sensitivity, that volatility that occurs in all of our lives, where everything starts to just kind of just get thrown at us at the same time. But not only is there grace for it, but you've got to name it. You've got to know, I'm in a season of sickness. I'm in a season of sorrow. I'm in a season of transition. I'm in a season of growth. I'm in a season of discovery. You know, all of those things so that we can apply faith for those seasons. But God owns those seasons. I told her that, and then she said, well, is there times that we sort of hold on to seasons and we want them to continue when that season's changed? And I said, absolutely yes. You know, I thought about it. I'm from Buffalo, New York, and I shared with her that if I was on the golf course in Buffalo in July, and I had one great spot that I was golfing at, and I wanted to stay in that moment because it was a great shot, it was a great day, the weather was fine, everything was wonderful. If I stayed in that spot, then while that may have been a blessing for that season, staying in that spot when the seasons change, I will die in that spot. So I want to share with you that the same place that you've been blessed is only blessed because there was a season for that blessing. You have to move with those seasons, because then the very place that you refuse to move from will be a place of sorrow. And so if we're not sure about where God is taking us, that's why we have to own the season. We got to know what God is saying. You got to declare it. You got to know it. You got to own it. You got to say, this is the season, so that I can pray appropriately in that season in my life. You can't be praying for the season of health when you're not sick. You're not even in a sick season. You can't pray for prosperity when you're not in a impoverished season. You got to know where you are. Part of our journey and our struggle in this Christian life is that we're really not identifying what God is doing and where He is. We want to take control. We want to naturally manipulate God and say to Him that this is the season I like, this is the season I'm staying in, and no matter what happens in my life, everything will happen in this season. And God is saying, I'm moving. So will you move with God? Maybe your frustration in the season that you're in is the fact that God ended that season. And so He is calling us to move to another place where He is. He owns it. And when we take control of the season of our life, the cycle of our life, the ownership of our life, then we defy God and we say to Him that you have no power in that season. And the very time that you will hold on to a thing that God has left, it will now destroy you. I pray that this season of God, this season, this time in your life will be one of blessing, where the presence and the power and the purpose of God will be manifested in your life. Shift the season. God is moving. Are you where He is, or are you expecting Him to return where you are? We'll see you next Wednesday.